Hello, 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 all you amazing, energetic healers and intuitive meditators. So today, what the video is today is going to be about confidence. So one of the things that comes up with people when they are trying to develop their clairvoyance is they get worried that they're not going to be able to be psychic. They're like, no way, I can't do it. This isn't possible for me. All of that kind of can come up for people. And I am here to tell you that being psychic, being intuitive, psychic is a scary word, but being intuitive, developing your clairvoyance or your clairaudience or controlling your empathic abilities, all of this is a human right. This is an absolute human ability that every single human on the planet can step into. Now, some people are born with certain kind of abilities already sort of switched on, and that's fine, but it doesn't mean you can't learn it. You know why? Every single one of you, every single person on the planet can develop this because we all have the same energetic machinery. We all have chakras. We all have an aura. We all have a pineal gland. We all have lots and lots and lots of energetic machinery that I will show you out if you join the clairvoyant program. It doesn't just stop there. There's tons of stuff that we have are made up in terms of being energetic beings. Lots of stuff. And we all have that machinery. And because we have that, we all have the ability to develop our intuitive selves. This is just a human right. Done, end of story. Does that mean that you don't have to practice? You don't have to work in raising your vibration? You don't have to learn how to fine tune those things and work with those things and get the tools, quote unquote, to be able to step into that level of awareness and clairvoyance, etc.? No, of course you have to work at that. This isn't McDonald's level raising your vibration. It's not, this doesn't look like, oh, I'm just going to take a half-hour class and now I know everything. This is the real deal. And if you want to step into the real deal, it takes a little bit of training. So that's what we do. So you can do it. You just have to show up. The people that show up to the readings every single week and show up to class, they learn how to do it. They step into that. Now, it looks a little different for everybody. Some people are more clairvoyant. Some people are more clairaudient. Some people are super telepathic. Some people are super empathic. This is not a cookie cutter thing. It doesn't look the same for everybody, but that's part of the joy. That's part of the fun. That's part of the excitement. And it's part of the journey. And so having that kind of confidence that you can step into it is part of what comes up for people. So that like, can I do it? Yes, you can. Here to tell you that. Done. Everybody can do it. So another thing that's happening when you're stepping into your clairvoyance, I'm just going to go over the machinery of how this happens, because sometimes people are like, oh no, I went to a student reading and the student sounded like they knew what they were doing. And how am I going to be put on the spot? Am I going to be embarrassed? Am I going to suddenly have to know how to do all this? No, it doesn't work like that. So how you guys learn how to do this is you sit in what we call a line. So you have an advanced person sitting in the center of the line, and they're the person that's kind of overseeing everything. And then we have a person who said this person is center chair. We call it center chair. And then we have a person who's doing what we call room control. So they're helping kind of maintain the space around the people that are reading. And so then back to the readers, there's the center chair. And then there's a person next to the center chair, and we call them the side chair. And then there's lots of little side chairs, depending on how many people are there. And so everybody's reading in a row. And there's a way that I'll show you how to, fine tune this energetic machinery so that you can link everything up. You can link it up to the person, and you can start developing that clairvoyance. You can start seeing things. There's a method to the madness, which I will show you. And at the beginning, it just looks like a color or a object. And then over time, that color and that, you start developing your own sort of language. It's a language of the soul. It's a language of energy. This is a very sophisticated way to learn. So it's much more than, some people try to teach and they're just like, well, red always means love, or red means anger, and the ocean means intelligence, and this means this, and this means that. This isn't how I'm showing you guys how to do this. You guys all have your own journeys, you've had your own stories, and you have your own symbols kind of that work for you. So for example, me, I tend to see, so I'll back up. So those symbols come in like you're looking at something, and you could, one person could see a plant, another person could see a tool, another person could see a story, and you're all looking. So all these people in the line, they're matched up to the person they're reading. And because it's the same person that you're reading the same soul. But how you interpret what you're reading is going to look a little different. So for example, me, I love writing, I love story, I love kids books. So I a lot of times get images of kids books. I would see maybe a spindle from, say there, I would maybe see a spindle. Maybe you could just, you're reading somebody, you're reading their first layer, which is their physical information. Maybe I would get a spindle and a prick, like ouch. And then maybe another person would see a cactus and they would go ouch. And then maybe another person would see we had a guy that was an engineer and who came in, and he always saw tools, like everything was tools, and it took some time. He was like, I don't understand why I'm seeing this. And he would maybe say, I'm trying to nail, maybe he would see a nail, poof, he'd see a nail. And then you see, maybe somebody would see, a kid looking sad, or, another person would see somebody being mad, or another person would, or me, I would probably see the person, like Rapunzel or something like that, right? And then you use your knowingness. So it's reading is this combination between seeing an image and then using your seventh chakra, which is your knowingness. You eventually put it all together, and then you would learn. You would be, oh, this is the first layer, which is physical stuff, and I'm kind of pulling on a reading. The students were stuck once, and this person, they kept getting the image of a cactus and then it poking this girl. And everybody was very confused because they didn't understand why a cactus would be poking her in her first chakra, her first layer of her aura, sorry. But it made perfect sense to her because she was a diabetic and she was getting insulin shots every day. So it's so, for example, one person could see a spindle, another person could see a nail, another person could see a cactus. And that's all that idea of being poked, so it's going to come in individually for different people. And then you just learn, that language as time goes on. So it develops. And the benefit of sitting there is a lot at the beginning, you don't see anything, and you're not expected to see anything. So, but you're learning. And as you sit in that line and as you practice with all these other people who've been practicing longer, then all of a sudden you start having a lot of fun. It's fun. People are laughing, they're joking, it's a goof. And you start realizing that you're seeing the same things they are. So you're not on your own, you're not all by yourself, you're sitting there in a group having a good time most of the time. And your confidence is getting built up because you're seeing what all these other people are seeing. So that's one of the ways that people their confidence can get built up. And one of the things that starts reducing over time is sometimes people have programming about being perfect. Sometimes people have programming about like an end result, and they can't, there's a lot of programming, right? Society's full of programming about the way we're supposed to be. Don't speak unless you have, unless you have something smart to say, don't be creative. Don't just come up with stuff unless you know the answer, all that kind of stuff. So you're reducing sometimes perfect. We even have a term for it, and it's called perfect pictures. Sometimes people feel like they need to be perfect in order to create something, or their creation needs to be perfect. And so the whole act of stepping into your clairvoyance and your intuition is, it's almost like you're getting information that comes in and it goes out. When you start questioning and doubting and judging and getting into your head about it, it stops that flow of information coming in and out. So a big part of what you're releasing as you're stepping into this clairvoyance is all of these perfect pictures, all of the self-doubt, all of this energy of limitation. And the more, there's something called, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is where you're like, okay, it's about the journey and I'm trying and I'm okay. You're muddling through until you can get to the end. Now, the people that are on a growth mindset are usually the people that can, over time, create unbelievable things in their life. These are the people that can master a topic. I don't care if it's surfing. I don't care if it's playing the cello. I don't care if it's psychic reading. If you're going to get to a place of mastery in anything, a growth mindset is going to help. That's where you're working at the journey. You're just kind of not judging yourself. You're not getting in your way, trying not to, and just kind of going on the journey. A fixed mindset is where you're like, this is as good as it can be. I've got to get that. And you're mean and nasty and horrible to yourself whenever you're not perfect. So we kind of start whittling away at all of that and try to switch over to a growth mindset so that we can move forward in this area of clairvoyance. But as you're moving forward in this area, all these other areas start moving forward too, because you're switching from one state to another state in terms of fixed versus growth mindset. So that helps with the confidence too, is you whittle down on all this idea of perfection. Now, for the empaths amongst the group, sometimes that perfection wasn't even yours. That's pretty mind-blowing when you start releasing other people's energy of perfection. You start releasing, it's a female thing, that perfection, because we're programmed to create perfect little babies. We release a lot of other people's energy. We're going to probably do that in a few minutes in this meditation. We're going to release our mother's energy, some of her energy of perfection. Not that she was a mean, horrible, awful person. No, that's not what it is. But this is just an energy that people get stuck on. And if it's not your energy that you're stuck on, we might as well let it go. So we're going to do that. Let me just see if I have any other things. Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about too. Another thing with clairvoyance. So we are in a world of competition, right? This is what happens when you're in a physical body. We're in a physical body. We're surrounded by other people with physical bodies. And a lot of us are trained to compete in the physical, so we can compete for shelter, we can compete for food, we can compete for whatever, right? This is how the world has been set up. Now, the crazy thing about stepping into your intuition is that energy of competition actually stops you from being able to step more into your intuition, step into your clairvoyance, that energy of comparing, of being in your head of, oh, is that person doing better than me? Or why can they see and I can't see? Or, any of that kind of energy of competition, and even the energy of effort. So effort is a physical energy. So, and it works great. If you need to chop down a tree, you need effort. Effort works good. Effort works good when you're playing basketball. Effort works good when you're building a house. Effort works really good at planting a garden. Effort works great when you're planting a garden. But where effort doesn't work great is when you're trying to work in your clairvoyance, because that's this sort of feminine receptive space. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, it's still the idea of allowing information to come in and out, in and out. And so that no effort, no competition place, no comparing yourself to other people, not even comparing yourself to you, right? Because people can go into competition with themselves. Oh, I was so much better last month, and this month I suck. So we really work at getting out of that no effort space in this arena. But again, as we sort of step into that no effort space in this clairvoyant arena, then a lot of fears, a lot of stories, a lot of programming that things need to be hard, that things need to be difficult, that you can't achieve, all this kind of stuff, it starts falling away at the wayside in other arenas. It really does. So anyway, so that's some of what some of the kind of blocks that can kind of sometimes come up for people is they're working on this. But again, I'm trying to think of like what, with competition. All right, that I knew there was like another point that I was wanting to make. So one of the reasons you kind of can't compete with people in this arena, because you can't, it's impossible, 100% impossible to compete with somebody else in the psychic arena. Why, do you ask? Because you can't ever walk in someone's shoes. Okay, you couldn't walk in someone's shoes in this life, but when you kind of add in the massive tapestry of all of these different past lives and all of these different genetic signatures and everything that's ever happened to them in this lifetime and all the karma and all the agreements and all the stuff that each individual soul, each individual person, each individual body has experienced, then the idea of comparing yourself to someone in this arena, it doesn't work. It's impossible. You can't. There's just no way. This is that's kind of also part of the joy, is you're having this individual experience and this individual kind of amazing opening and learning and community, but you're still having that community. You're still having other people that are learning the same thing and moving through the same thing, but it looks a little bit different for everybody. And that's part of the joy for me too, frankly, is not everybody's the same. If everybody was the same, it would get boring after a while, but you guys are all so different that your challenges are different, which always keeps me on my toes, which I enjoy. Anyway, so competition and confidence. You guys can do this. I know you can. 100% you can do this. I have not had a student who has gone through all these who showed up on a regular basis and gone through the classes who wasn't able to start getting a whole bunch of information. I just haven't had that yet. Now, a few don't see as much as some of the other people do, but if they open up their knowingness, boom, they all of a sudden have a lot of information that's coming in. But most of them are able to open up their clairvoyance as well. And it comes in differently for everybody. There's lots of psychic abilities, and you can get the benefits, the healing, the spiritual, the day-to-day benefits. You can get all of that through multiple different forms of intuitive awareness. But clairvoyance is the one we work on the most because it's a lot of fun. So anyway, so let's do this meditation. We're gonna all do a meditation on confidence.